Easter, everyone. I am so excited to be back. And it is 12:05 on April 1st. So there are so many things going on today. April Fool's Day, it's Maundy Thursday or Holy Thursday, some people call it. And it's my Facebook Live. So lots going on, and I'm really excited to be back. Last week was a little bit wonky for me. I'm a very disciplined person, and I need my structure and I need my schedule, and I live by my calendar. And I had a couple things that kind of set my schedule and just set my calendar differently than normal. And so I needed last Thursday to catch up and to get organized and get my get my stuff together. So that's what was happening last Thursday. So it's been a couple weeks since I've been here, and we've been talking about negotiation. So I am hoping that the topic of today's conversation of grilled cheese and blistered grapes intrigues you, because as you know, Mike and I like to watch our cooking shows, or I like to watch them, and he watches them with me. It's true. I think he likes them as well. But on Saturday, we were watching Giada, one of my favorite Food Network personalities, my favorite chefs, and she introduced us to a grilled cheese sandwich that was made with lemon and mozzarella. I kid you not. Lemon and mozzarella. And lemon, now it wasn't like you squeezed the lemon, that would be gross, but it was you cut the lemon in thin slices. So you've got your bread, and you put your mozzarella, you take the mozzarella out of the ball of mozzarella and cut it up in thin slices, or you tear it and put it on the bread, and then you layer on a layer of thinly sliced lemons that have sugar on them. Put some more mozzarella on top, and then put your final piece of bread on top. And then the outsides are buttered, of course, like normal, but they have grated Parmesan cheese on them as well. And so then you put them in your frying pan like you normally would, and you cover it, and then you flip it after a couple minutes. So no different than normal. So I made those last night. Well, actually, Sean and I made my son-in-law and I made them last night for the family. Amanda and my mom were over, and that's what I do. I find these new recipes, and then I try them out on my family. And so Mike took a bite of it, and his response, I kid you not, his response was, wow. So, mozzarella cheese has got a nice melt to it, so it gets stringy, and it's just delicious. But the lemon, you eat the lemon slice with the rind on it, kind of crazy. But with the heat, it kind of softens it, and it kind of doesn't. But it's a freshness. It's a real freshness. So I couldn't decide whether I was going to introduce you to lemon mozzarella grilled cheese sandwiches, or if I was going to introduce you to this other recipe that I was introduced to over the weekend by Trisha Yearwood, another one of my favorite chefs, and her cooking show is amazing. And that was blistered grapes. So I'm trying to figure out, grilled cheese, grapes, what am I going to do? Well, then I thought, well, let's see, grapes. Grapes are wine. Wine was served at the Last Supper, and the Last Supper was tonight, because today is Maundy Thursday or Holy Thursday. So it's perfect. So we are going to be making blistered grapes. In fact, it's going to be my lunch. So as I'm doing, it's pretty easy. As I'm doing this, then I will let you know how it is, but that's what I'm going to have for lunch. The crazy thing about this blistered grape thing is that it is with ricotta cheese. And I don't know about you guys, but I know ricotta cheese from lasagna. I've never eaten it just to eat it, right? You put it in lasagna. Well, this recipe, you put a dollop of it in your bowl, cover, put your blistered grapes on. I've got pecans, I've got sliced almonds. She put chia seeds. I don't have any chia seeds. And then you drizzle it with honey, and then that's your lunch. And so that's what I'm gonna have today. So anyway, but let's get back to negotiation, which is what we've been talking about. But before I go there, I do wonder, so I don't know about you guys, but I was raised Presbyterian, and we called the Thursday before Easter, Maundy Thursday, and I never really knew why. And so, I'm 50 whatever years old and never thought about it. I knew it was Maundy Thursday. It's Maundy. I didn't know what it meant, so I looked it up. And so a little bit of trivia for you, and that is that Maundy, Maundy, comes from the root word is Latin, and it's the Latin word mandatum. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but mandatum is the Latin word, and it's like mandate or command. So during the Last Supper, Jesus and the disciples were having a Passover dinner meal, and during that meal, Jesus gave the disciples and us a new command. And here's what it is. So it's out of John, because I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, each one of their sections that had to do with the Last Supper. And they're all of the events of the evening are very, very similar. But John goes into greater detail, and only in John does it give us this command. And so it says, this is John 13, verse 34. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Okay. To me, that really wasn't different, because I know Jesus is to tell us to be kind and love one another, right? He's always said that. So why is this one different? So I did a little bit more research on it, and it made sense, this wherever I was at. And here's how they explained it. It was, yes, you're to love one another. But in this context, or in this part here, Jesus says, you are to love one another the way that I loved you. And so I thought about that. Okay, well, how did Jesus love us? Well, Jesus loved us so much that he died for us, right? So tomorrow is marks his crucifixion. He died for us. That's how much he loved us. And so he says, we are supposed to love everybody else the way he loved us. So we're supposed to love everybody else so much that we're willing to take a bullet for them. We're willing to die for them. And so today, in this crazy, polarized nation that we live in, this is a huge Easter message that we need to remember. We need to love each other the way Jesus loved us. We need to love each other to give our life for that other person. That's pretty overwhelming. So I hope that resonates with you, and I'm not sure where this whole day finds you, but hopefully that does give you some perspective. And I was really touched by that for sure. Before we get into how negotiation and Easter fits together, because that's kind of a crazed dichotomy, that's the right word, I want to start my blistered grapes. So I need to turn the oven on here, or the stove on here, and I've already put in, it's very, very simple. What we use, some ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, they want you to grate nutmeg, but I didn't have any like fresh nutmeg, so I just used ground nutmeg. And then just a pinch of cardamom, which I don't know if you've ever used cardamom. I've never used it except for the last couple weeks, and it's kind of it's kind of an interesting smell. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna toast up those the cinnamon and the cardamom and the nutmeg, and then I'm going to put a teaspoon of oil in the pan, and then that's gonna just bring all of those spices together. I'm just gonna mix it all around so that we get all the cinnamon and everything in here. And then we're gonna take the grapes. So I've got some grapes here. I'm gonna put the grapes in, and that's it. That's like it. So you mix the grapes around so that they get all the spices and the oil on them. And then I'm gonna continue talking about negotiation as these grapes blister. Okay, so where was I? Okay, negotiation versus Easter. Not versus Easter, but how do they fit together? Seriously, how do they fit together? Okay, hold on one second. I have a huge problem right now. My battery, I didn't plug my computer in. So hang on. Okay, I'm back. I am so sorry about that. I have been, oh, now my grapes are blackened. All right, I need to turn on the fan before the. All right, we're going to turn these off because they look to be blistered, but we're going to turn them off anyway. Anyway, so I wanted to come back to you. I am so sorry that happened. I have been practicing this since 11 o'clock, and of course, I forget to bring my power cord out of my office into the kitchen. So anyway, where were we? We were talking about negotiation and Easter and how negotiation tends to get this bad reputation, right? We talked about that episode or so ago. Actually, it was the first episode where I talked about the reputation that negotiation gets, and it's not fair. I mean, can you imagine what it's like to be that person that people run away from, right? And I realize I'm personifying negotiation, and that seems a little bit much, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is that people run from her, right? It's conflict. You don't really want to go to conflict. You want to go away from conflict. And so how is it then that negotiation and Easter kind of fit together? Because Easter is joy and celebration, and I don't remember if I've already told you this or not, so I'm just going to keep going through that. But I thought about how were there people in the Bible during this time? In fact, I think I did tell you this, that, did Jesus negotiate, right? No, he didn't. He didn't negotiate. Pontius Pilate didn't negotiate. Peter didn't negotiate. Judas didn't negotiate. So anyway, I stepped back and got my whiteboard out and my markers and thought about Easter. And what is it, when you think of Easter, what is it that you think about? What is it that, you think about? Chocolate bunnies, you think about colored eggs, you think about Easter baskets, you think about cute little girls in their white dresses, and you think about boys in their all dressed up in their suits. I guess my point is that I couldn't figure out how to get negotiation and Easter to fit together, and until I thought about family, and I thought about family traditions. And so I think this might have been where I lost you last time, but my family traditions were, my mom would, on Sunday after church, she would make a big meal, whether that was pot roast and carrots and different things like that. And it was a non-negotiable for us. So I have 3 other siblings, and we had to be at dinner on Sunday. And I didn't really realize how I loved those Sundays until I started thinking about it to prepare for today. And it was really kind of a cool time, but it was a non-negotiable. My grandpa came over, and we just had a really nice time, and Easter was no different. So right now, Mike and I are in a point where our children are grown, and what happens when they grow up? Well, most children get married, and so Amanda married Sean, and Nicholas is engaged to Caitlin, and what happens then? Well, there's 2 other families that then come into play, right? So we've got family traditions. We have our family traditions, but now we have Sean's family traditions, and we have Caitlin's family traditions. And so how is all that going to work? How is all that going to work together? And that's where negotiation comes in. That's how I fit them together. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so right. Because think about Thanksgiving. Think about how crazy it is when the poor kids are going here, and then they got to go there, and then they got 20 minutes here, and then they got an hour there, and they're trying to make everybody happy, and it's really very, very stressful, right? Christmas is the same way. Well, Easter, for most of us, is no different. So I thought about that. I thought, negotiation with the right mindset, with a win-win mindset, negotiation is absolutely perfect when it comes to Easter family traditions. right? So we always have lunch on Sunday after Easter, and we don't go to anybody's house. We go to Chili's, quite honestly. We for 2 years in a row, which is hysterical. For 2 years in a row, we would say we go to church and we go, okay, Mom, meet us at Backyard, and we'd get to Backyard and they'd be closed. So then we go, okay, let's go to Chili's. We did that exact same thing for 2 years in a row, and then finally now we just joke about it. But so we would just go to Chili's after church. Nobody has to cook, and we have a nice meal. The Chili's staff, they are fantastic and would handle our group. And then we'd go about our way, and the kids usually would go to their homes, or at the time they were in college, so they'd have to go back to campus. So now it's that same thing, and now we've got Caitlin's family and we've got Sean's family, and they all have traditions. And so how do we incorporate their schedules into our schedules without getting upset, right? Without getting stressed, without somebody getting their feelings hurt? Well, you do that through negotiation. You do that through a collaborative mindset of negotiation, not competitive. You go in with an open mind, and it's, you know what? This is going to be the start of a new tradition. This is going to be the start of a new beginning, which isn't that what Easter is? New beginnings. And so that's how this all fits together. So you take that mindset of collaborative negotiation. You anticipate, do not forget, negotiate's BFF, anticipate. Because if you know that your aunt is dead set, we have had lunch at 1 o'clock on Easter for the last 50 years, and by God, we are going to continue to have it at 1 o'clock until I'm dead. If that is her mindset, then you need to figure out how you're going to approach her on whatever it is that you want to discuss with her as far as Easter plans. Now, my guess is that everybody already has Easter, you've already got your Easter plans set. But if you are in a situation where you're not really thrilled with the outcome, like you had to change your Easter plans because to accommodate somebody else, and you're just, it doesn't feel very good in your heart, then I want you to remember Jesus's command. And we need to love each other the way that he loved us. That is the most important thing. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter the time. It doesn't matter the schedule. It doesn't matter any of that. It just matters about loving one another the way that Jesus loved us and sharing in those new family traditions. So that's what today's all about, and I am so sorry we had all those technical difficulties, but I'm glad that I was able to wind that message back in. And so now I'm going to have this lunch. Okay, so I'm just going to take a dollop of ricotta cheese. This looks so interesting to me, but I'm just going to take a little bit of that cheese, and then I'm going to put some of these blistered, which I've never heard of before. I've never heard of blistered grapes, but I'm going to take some blistered grapes. I am then putting some, these are pecans. Recipe didn't call for pecans, but I like pecans, so I put them on there. Some almond slices and some honey. Now this honey, we've got to go to a farmer's market here soon because, honey is so healthy for you if you get it in your region, because then the bees have taken the pollen and everything that's around here, and it helps with your immune system. And so this is just, whatever. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try this ricotta cheese, and also, okay, see, it looks kind of good. Here we go. This is really good. Highly recommend it. I'll link the recipe in the comments. And very good. Trisha Yearwood, thank you so much. So I wish everybody an absolute happy Easter. And please remember, when it comes to negotiation, bring her along with you and bring her mindset of collaboration. Bring her best friend. Anticipate. That's where the magic happens. And remember Jesus' command. We need to love each other the way that he loved us. Thanks so much, and happy Easter, everybody.